All right, let's get started. Final week, week 6. What we're going to do is take what we've learned the past 5 weeks and come up with what's the plan moving forward. Where you're at right now, what do you want to get out of your wellness moving forward, and what type of team do you want to assemble as well? Because we do get there better with the team, and so we'll talk about that. And your team could be very large. It could be 1 or 2 people that you really trust and that you use as needed. So we'll discuss that. First off, how was your week? We talked about the grated zucchini.
Yeah, we ate really clean this week at home, and as I said before, we normally do just because of Wendy's
Right.
dietary needs, But I cleaned it up even more than normal this week. And I'm pretty good
Excellent.
about it.
Good. Fantastic.
It's definitely positive. I don't think I could claim to be as clean as Jeff here. Have kids with Easter candy still in the house,
Oh yeah.
and I have a bad sweet tooth.
Holidays can be very tough. But overall, some positive things that happened this week.
Oh yeah, I'm down another 5 pounds.
Excellent.
I haven't been sleeping very well this particular week, but
Okay.
that's due to just work stress.
Yeah. What do you attribute the weight loss to?
Well, the biggest thing is just calorie reduction.
Okay.
I'm always a stress eater,
Mm.
and I've been trying to get away from that. Try not to drink as many, even though it's diet sodas, I still drink way too many of them. And I usually start the day off with my 44 ounce on my desk. Hit Circle K anyway, and that's my coffee.
Mm. The drinks, yeah, those could be the killers right there. Okay, but you're trending downward. That's good. Excellent. Tim?
All in all, I had a pretty good week. Staying real focused on the exercising and the eating right. The only bad thing is Friday I woke up a little bit dizzy and had some vertigo. Actually fell over in my closet.
Oh, no.
So I went to the doctor's. I wanted to see if it went away. It kind of eased off, and then on Monday, or excuse me, Friday I felt dizzy. Monday I fell over in my closet. But so Monday I got an appointment with the doctor, and I got vertigo. And then the physician vertigo.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave me a Z-Pack and some steroids for allergies, some allergy related type of thing.
Right.
Working on it there, I don't know if it's going to
Okay.
But I don't know if it's changing lifestyle a little bit.
Oh.
So eating right, sleeping regular, and getting on a regular schedule. I don't know if all that, but I had allergies and been up in the mountains a lot. I noticed even a little bit like mountain elevation change. You're hitting the top when you're driving and stuff. Sometimes it feels like it stays with me longer than the day. It doesn't quite clear on the I don't know if it's something that's been happening.
Allergies have been bad this year, and I looked even just the other night. I forgot what night I checked, but the allergens were really high according to weather.com. So yeah.
They gave me a shot in the hip, which I'm not sure exactly what it was. They said it was an allergy shot the whole season.
Okay.
And then I'm on the Z-Pack of some kind of steroid stuff. So it seems to make me feel a little better.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I don't like.
It could be related to the vertigo. So basically, your ear canal will then it opens up into the mouth, and that's how it equalizes pressure. And so, if there's any sort of congestion, it could block that, and that can throw off the pressure in the ear, and that cause different issues.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's working or not.
Yeah. Well, for BPV, there's something called Epley's maneuver. Sometimes it can be caused by an infection, which is why he's got you on some stuff. But it could be sometimes in your ear you have these little tiny rocks called otoliths,
Yeah.
and if they move into the canals that are measuring movement, they can throw off your receptors. And so there's different stuff where that you can actually move those rocks out of the way. It's called Epley's maneuver, and so that's an idea too.
Exercise or physical therapy or something,
Um,
or is that like maneuver, with surgery?
no, it's something that your doctor does. It's a basically they have you roll on one side, they put your head in position, then they roll you to another side, and you sit up, and it's a series of movements that basically gets your head to move the rocks based on inertia. You
And
get
that's exactly what I was educated to, some crystals, calcium crystals in your ear, and those go to the crystal, and that's when it's the worst, is sitting on the crawling way down, walking over, sitting up.
Mm,
I just have to take a couple seconds, make sure, I'm not just jump up and run, or something like that.
Gotcha.
Just gotta take it
easy on the acceleration.
and make sure I'm, proper stances. I'm not like standing around on one leg type of thing, so, and just until my body kind of catches it itself.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
also told them that there's a conference, which is something in my eyes too,
Huh. Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Well. Okay. Keeping the momentum. What do we do from here? So it's a lot easier to keep up healthy habits than to form them. It's kind of like getting a car moving. That first couple pushes to get it going is the toughest part. Once you get it rolling, then it's easier to maintain it. Same thing with your habits. Keep giving back to yourself. And I think that's a tough thing sometimes, especially when life gets tough and work gets stressful. It's easy to say, well, I'm not going to do these things because I need to put this time into work. If you keep giving back even just a little bit, it becomes a habit. And then it's natural to just keep it up after that. All right, let's talk about the investment pyramid. So this is where I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but this is where talk about the difference between investing now and having to pay later. So for the holistic health pyramid, and this could be going to a professional, this could be just paying yourself by exercising, by eating right. Either way, the initial investment's going to be higher. Investment in money, investment in time, investment in education to learn how to eat a healthier life, what food choices to make, what recipes to make. The initial investment is higher because you need to put into the system. And you're going to feel sick initially, or you won't feel as good as you're going to feel. Over time, which is we're moving upwards now, there's decreased cost to maintain. If you're seeing a physician, you're going to be on less supplements, on less medications as you get healthier. If it's healthy eating, you have a lot of foods that you like. You don't have to put more effort into learning more about them. You'll do that slowly over time. Have you noticed that, Jeff?
Yeah.
Probably put a lot more work at first to get there, but now it's just picking up things as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a decreased cost to maintain it, and you feel better and better over time. Now, if we contrast that with the conventional health pyramid, the initial investment's low. Go to the doctor once, you pay a small copay. Maybe you're on one medication, two medications. And you do feel sick initially. That's why you're there in the first place. But over time, there's more, the cost to treat is increased. It's gone.
Hi, sorry, late.
No worries. More doctor visits, more specialists, more medications. You're spending more time, more money, more effort, and your quality of life is going down too. So the cost and how you feel is increased. So you feel worse over time. And so you're paying what you would have paid to start before, but now you feel worse doing it. And so basically, as we all know, it's better to invest to start. Even though it feels like it's elective, you're going to pay one way or the other. It's either in the beginning or in the end, and it makes a difference how you're going to feel when you get there. Remember this about diabetes. High cost of diabetes. Over $10,000 per person more was spent on healthcare for people with diabetes than those without diabetes. And out-of-pocket healthcare costs at the bottom were more than 2.5 times more for people with diabetes. So this goes beyond insurance costs. This is real costs. So again, we're moving through this pretty quickly. So at the end, going to answer some questions as far as how to get to where you're going after this. So the question is, do you want to pay now or pay later? Do you want to feel better from your efforts or just work hard to stop the downward spiral, which is what I see a lot of people at. They're just trying to maintain. How much are you willing to invest in time, energy, and money? Now, this is a big one because it's important to work with where you're at. If you have a really busy schedule right now, you have smaller amount of time that you can invest. So the important thing is investing it where it's needed. And so we have a little handout to see where should you put more of your time into. Energy, money, again, this is all related to what you have to give. If you give more than what you have, that's not healthy. But the main thing is that you're giving something. It's like they say with savings. It's better to put $1 into savings than nothing at all. Wow, okay. I was thinking the same thing when I wrote this. Screening tests. We have different types of screening tests. And we have this same, for those of you who went to there's a men's wellness thing I did a few months back. We have a screening checklist. Some of the main tests that you want to get done, when you get them done, and how frequently. It is important to get checked out because any condition, if they find it early, easier to treat. It's easier to treat, you have a better rate of recovery, and you can treat with more conventional methods. You can, a lot of things, if you catch them early enough, you can treat with diet, you can treat with exercise. If it goes on too long, now you're talking about pharmaceuticals, surgery. So wellness checkups, these should be done every year, at least every year. Blood pressure, some physical exams, some screening exams, just to pick up anything that might have developed. Blood tests, these are good usually to get done every year. Cholesterol and triglycerides, really important for heart health. Fasting glucose, and maybe even the hemoglobin A1C, that's the HbA1c. That's really good to check for diabetes or pre-diabetes. The fasting glucose is the screening. If you have a history of diabetes or pre-diabetes, the hemoglobin A1C would often be selected as well. Anyone know the difference between those? Fasting is a snapshot. That's like looking at what your bank account is right now. The hemoglobin A1C, that gives an average over 3 months. So even if right now your blood sugar is 90, the hemoglobin A1C will show you the average might be 140 or 150. And so it gives you a better range. And then certain disease screenings, which again have to do with your health history, family history, age, race, other factors. You might get screened for prostate screenings, lung screenings. Again, that depends, and that's going to be your physician, your primary care physician will help guide you in that process. But you really should be seeing your primary care physician every year to get some sort of test, if only for them to tell you clean bill of health. That's a great thing to hear. Any questions on this? Okay. Again, we have this handout here for some of the main ones. Okay, now before we go any further, let's do the first 4 questions on the Week 6 empowerment handout, just to see where you're at. First 4, yep. You might be. It's in the handouts, which is towards the back of that packet. There you go. Okay, let's discuss numbers 1 and 4. So anyone want to share what their health focus is moving forward?
Consistent exercise routine and routine schedule of sleep, eating, and life balance.
Mm,
And it's kind of pulling them together pretty good. I'm impressed with myself.
excellent.
I'd say 3 solid weeks I've been on track, like a half an hour exercise a day, pushing in an hour a day in some instances. Eating really good. Talk with my wife, we got lists of foods that we cooked in the previous weeks and added to, and so when she's grocery shopping, she's shopping. We were at the beginning of that.
Mhm.
You said it's a little bit harder first to change your habits.
Yeah, the investment stage you're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, she likes what she likes, and she's not a very healthy person. She's good with fish sticks and french fries and McDonald's and stuff like that. You know, and I just get killing me with them. But anyway, so I'm doing vegetables and shakes and all of that stuff. And she's actually started cooking really good meals. So
Excellent. Great.
for number 4, I'm to the point where I've been kind of jogging, getting my blood in shape. So I've been doing it for a year and a half, 2 years now. The doctor's last 3 wellness visits I've had, they told me what I need to do, told me to go to this right medicine, and told me to live on it. I went to the doctor Monday, which he told me everything, and I told him to take home the sticks, not to be on medication, put me on there, and I'll work towards getting off of it.
You made great strides this program. That when you came in, you wanted to consistently exercise, and the scheduling was an issue, and just finding it the time and what time of day and being inconsistent with it. So great to hear the progress that you've made, and yeah, a lot of it sounds like scheduling health into your life.
For me, it's rough. I mean, I literally have the right schedule down, and I'm still, I understand I have a minute, but I'm dancing all around it, and then
Great. I'm with you there. Scheduling is one of the hardest things to me. It used to be, but I've gotten better at it. It does help, especially when life gets hectic. Sometimes health is the easiest thing to fall by the wayside, and scheduling is the best way to keep it in. So kudos to you for that. Excellent. Great. Thank you. Okay, more person?
Sure, so I have a couple of, I guess my 2 main focuses still moving forward is continue with waste reduction. So I'm down 2 inches right now. Dropped the full hand size.
Great.
Working on 1 more.
Great.
And cardio increase. I've got little ones at home again. And I don't want to miss out on playing with them and hanging out with them.
Right.
So those are my 2 big ones. Scheduling is always the hardest. And actually, since we started this, I've worked on that, and I've actually been taking lunches midday for gym. Drive down to the gym during lunch breaks.
Excellent.
Because I'm too, I'm mentally awake. I'm very much a morning person.
Mm-hmm.
So I have so much going on in my mind that's the best time for me to work. So I usually show up here about 5 o'clock in the morning and start work.
Yeah.
And then by the time the day's over, the kids are home, we're together.
Right.
And
Life takes over.
life takes over.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been a really positive thing for me.
Great. Yeah, and that's for me personally, that was one of the breakthroughs for me was finding the right time for it. Yeah, when I was in college, every time was the right time. Didn't matter. But now with over the years as life became to evolve, mornings, afternoons, nights, they're all very different, and some are more conducive to getting it done. And it's different for all of us based on what's happening, what our preferences are. So that's really important, and that's one of the benefits of scheduling. One of the cons is sometimes it feels like a little restrictive, or maybe that's not personality traits. But the pro is you can schedule your best time, and then you can get it done, and it's more effective. So that's great. Okay, anyone want to talk about the investment again, or we can just even talk about the differences or how to get around that? Because again, we have different things to invest. So how do you get around it if let's say you have less money to invest? That's a common one. You can't be going to 6 different health professionals every week. Where can you shift your investment?
I think for me, it was like educating myself.
Yeah.
Sitting on the internet and learning what you can do, how to exercise,
Information. Yeah. Yeah. Information's huge. Knowledge is power. And especially when it comes to health, that's, I think, where most people lack is the information about how to be healthy. And so as we educate ourselves, we're empowered, we can make healthier decisions, and we don't have to rely on other people as much. It's still good to have your physician because they know things that we're not going to know about our body, outside perspective first of all, but also, diseases that we may have never seen, they've seen and they know how to recognize. So it's good to have that outsider's perspective and that second opinion. But the more that we can take care of ourselves, the less we need to rely on that for our everyday health. And so I think that's the perfect balance right there. And if you can invest in things that then can continue to pay back, especially when you're investing in your empowerment, you're investing in your lifestyle, and you're investing in your diet. Those are things that will pay dividends over and over and over again throughout your entire life. And that's one of the benefits and one of the, going to get treatment, whether it's from an MD, ND, acupuncturist, whatever, it can give you a lot of benefit and value in your health. But if you're not becoming more empowered, then you may not be better off in the long run because you may get yourself in the same problems. And so giving back to yourself and investing in education is always a great way. And that kind of goes with money and effort, right? So if you, time and effort. So if you're running low on time, or like one issue is like lunch breaks. How do I eat healthy on lunch? I can't go out to this place that's 20 minutes away and order a healthy lunch. There are hacks online you can find on how to save time. Dishes that take under 15 minutes or ways to bring a healthy lunch in with you. And so that's where the knowledge, again, plays a huge role where you can decrease, you can become healthier for easier. And that's actually one of the main things that I work with my patients is that we educate them, let them know how to do it or what to do. But then I say, if this is difficult, challenging, come back in because I can help you with the how. Because being healthy should not be very hard. It shouldn't be a miserable process. It should be fun and it should be fulfilling. And so if it is that for you, we can recognize that and then come up with solutions on how to make it better. Anything else we want to talk about with that? I think that was an important thing to talk about because, we don't want to feel guilty about, well, I only have this much to give. Well, anything you can give is good, and we can always improve that through empowerment. Okay, let's talk about some treatment philosophies. Now, these are philosophies that I personally believe in with health, and I think this goes beyond, so these are the 6 principles of naturopathic medicine. I've seen physicians, health professionals beyond naturopaths that use this. It's not just a naturopathic thing. It's just our 6 tenets that are on the wall of our school and on our diploma and stuff. But I think these are things that all good physicians and health professionals will do. Starting with the first one, first, do no harm. That's a major tenet of medicine. If someone comes in to get help, you don't want to hurt them. So first thing is don't hurt them, even if they're no better, at least not any worse. The next one, the healing power of nature. There's a few ways to look at this. The first one is that natural foods, natural substances can be very healing to the body. And I think that's true in a lot of instances, but not always. Another way to look at it, which is the way I look at it, is that nature wants to heal. Anything that's alive has self-healing processes. That's what we have. If we didn't have them, the first time we get a cut, we would have bled out and we'd die. We have these self-healing processes that want to work. It's in our genes. It's what we've evolved to do. And so to me, the healing power of nature is that we are part of nature and that we heal. That's one of our primary jobs. And one of the main things is to access that part, to remove any blockages that's stopping it from healing, and just encourage the process by building it up. And then it will do its job. It's in our genes. Next one, totally causum. Identify and treat the cause of disease. Again, a good doctor is going to do this no matter what's after their name. But the idea is, if you have a headache, we can just give you some pain meds or ask you why you have a headache. Oh, well, I've been banging my head against the wall for 10 hours a day. Well, maybe that's the source of your headache. So we can give you medications or supplements, doesn't matter, or we can just remove the cause and stop you from banging your head against the wall. One is going to lead you to be taking things and having to metabolize them, but you're never treating the actual issue. The other is going to remove the need to have a treatment because it is the treatment. It's kind of like the story of someone was standing by a river and they're seeing people pass by. You ever see that in the water? They jump in and save them. Jumps in, save one person, takes them out. Sees someone else going by, jumps in, saves them, takes them out. This happens for an hour. And then they see and there's someone up at the top throwing people into the river. You just got to stop that person and you won't be jumping in and saving people all day. So, same idea. Anyone ever hear that before? Okay, next one, bottom left, docere, doctor as teacher. I obviously really feel strongly about this one. Education and empowerment are linked. And for me, when I saw a physician when I was sick years and years ago, I went in with questions. I wanted to understand what I could do about it because I was young. I didn't want to go on medications and surgeries and stuff. It just seemed like too early for that. So what can you tell me about it? Well, I went to the standard doctor and didn't learn anything. I actually learned more from the brochures in his office. And then I got a script to go somewhere else and for a med. And I thought, to heck with this, I'm not going to do this. And then my massage therapist and my chiropractor who I started seeing taught me foods, stretches, and it was from that I started to notice changes. And I realized that was a big piece I was missing, was that it's important when you go to your doctor to leave feeling like you know more about your own health and how to be healthy. And so this is going to be a big part when you think about your wellness team and your health team. You need an MD there, pick an MD that's also going to teach you. I think that's very important. Tolle totem, treat the whole person. The idea is they're not just seeing you for a symptom in the lab value and just, again, pushing some sort of treatment. They're looking at everything else that's going on in your life, especially diet and lifestyle, because a lot of times we're causing, by the way we're living, we're causing the issues that are happening. And so if you don't see the whole person, you don't see that. You just see the symptom, the disease, and then you just match the same thing that you did for the last 10 people who may have had different causes. And so, again, someone who can see you as you and not just a collection of symptoms and diseases. And then lastly, prevention. Prevention is the best cure. So, again, look for ways to what's out on the horizon, what may be coming, and that's a lot of what we've done. Each week we've actually talked about risk factors for things every time we've talked about disease. If you know what may be out there in front of you, you can prevent it. Prevent it before it causes any issues and prevent it at a time where it's much easier to deal with. It's much easier to deal with pre-diabetes than it is end-stage diabetes with blindness, kidney failure, and numbness of the feet. One you can recover, the other one only partially. So those are the 6 principles of naturopathic medicine. Now, alongside this, also believe very strongly in the therapeutic order. The therapeutic order basically gives you stages of what is indicated when. And so at the top here, we have treatments that promote long-term health, but they're very conservative. They're very gentle treatments. They're not good you're not going to remove the obstacles to the health if you have an acute infection of a joint. You need to get serious pharmaceutical treatment for that. And so if you're just working on your overall wellness, you're at number 1, maybe at number 2. You stimulate the healing power of the body. Good foods, get the body moving, stuff like that where the body's more vital. Now at the bottom, we see here 3 and 4. So 3, support weakened or damaged systems. You know that your cardiovascular system is a little iffy, or your immune system, you get a lot of infections. You support that particularly. Immune system, maybe you start eating more garlic. Maybe you take an immune support supplement, things like that. You start targeting the weakened systems that may be struggling in your body. Next, number 4, you would correct structural integrity. You want to have an example of what that means? Or who you could see for that?
Chiropractor, physical therapist.
Exactly. Chiropractor, physical therapist, exactly. There's a phrase that structure dictates function. And so if the structure is proper, the function will happen more correctly and without damage. Now, it's very true from a mechanical point of view, but even from a neurological point of view as well.
So I'd like to share something that happened with me.
Yeah.
About a year ago. So I've never seen a chiropractor before, but I see my dad, and my dad's got this the typical hunch and looks like a turtle. You know, his head sticks out way past his spine, and I could feel that I was getting a lot of that strain, especially since I had a desk job as well.
Yeah.
So I actually went and I met a chiropractor who has a very similar naturopathic philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was very typical for how bad I was. I was actually 3 inches pronounced forward from being spinally correct.
Right.
And a lot of doctors would actually start prescribing surgery for that. Instead, he said, "Don't need to go there." We spent 6 months just doing basic exercises, doing some visits there. I only had to actually see it. I saw him once a week for the first 2 months, and then like every other week until the 6 months was over. And at the end of that, with the neck exercises and everything, we took before and after pictures of when I was, like 3 inches back. I went all the way back to a neutral position.
Wow.
No medications, no surgeries, much healthier. Didn't have any of the pain anymore.
Exactly.
Which is what, because of him, is what interested me when you started presenting here. I
Okay.
wanted to learn more about the
Good. It's a domino effect sometimes when it comes to you see one thing that works with healthy living, and then it's almost you need more. You want to say, well, what else can I add to my life? Great. Well, that's a great story. Thank you for that. Now it worked for you, maybe for your father at this point, right? Yeah, purpose is stubbornness. Over time, these interventions may become less and less useful, or they may not create as much change. And so that's one of the reasons why it's important to do it early, which you call it early enough where that you could reverse it. And that's fantastic. That's a great success story. Number 5. So now we've done everything else, or at least maybe it's at it's more acute, or it's something more serious where numbers 1 through 4 can't do all of it. So now we can prescribe specific natural substances for pathology. So someone that has diabetes might prescribe them some chromium, which is going to help sensitize their body to insulin so their blood sugar goes down. Or some supplements that have cinnamon, gymnema, a lot of these herbs that also lower blood sugar. So now we're prescribing specific natural substances, and oftentimes in a supplement form, something that's higher than what we would normally eat. And it gives us more targeting and also a little more punch, if you will. The next step is now pharmacological substances. They are even more concentrated, even more specific. Sometimes they carry some unwanted side effects, but you know what? They can keep you alive, they can keep the job done. Sometimes they are necessary. And at the end, we have surgery, suppressive drugs, radiation, and chemotherapy. Now, the purpose of having this spectrum, this therapeutic order, is to show that I don't have any lines here. I don't have anything that goes across between 5 and 6 and says, okay, well, these are the good ones, those are bad. Because in my eyes, there is no good or bad. It depends on what you need. Now, in general, towards the top here, we have things that promote long-term health. You're moving the obstacles to the cure, stimulating the vital force, supporting damaged organ systems. That's going to help you become healthier. And it's going to help your body maintain homeostasis. Anyone ever hear that term? Biology term? Balance, that healthy balance that we need in our body. At the bottom, not so much. Pharmaceuticals in general, they're going to keep you healthy, and sometimes they may balance one measure, but a lot of times they throw other things out of balance. So a lot of these don't promote long-term health. They're more keeping you alive maybe longer, but it's not going to get you healthier in most cases. Everyone understand what I'm saying? Also, another thing is that it's generally a lot more expensive to do the surgery, the radiation, the chemotherapy, even the pharmaceuticals. Some of them start out cheap, but over time, once you get on that roller coaster, it tends to get more and more. On average, someone has 1 pharmaceutical per decade of life. So as we get older, we tend to pick up more and more pharmaceuticals. That gets expensive, especially some that aren't covered, or you have to pick up the more expensive. There's a lot of stuff that happens where at first maybe it doesn't seem like that much, but then these costs of the drugs go up a lot. At the top, these things can be very easy or cheap. They could be completely inexpensive. And that's why I talk a lot about food. I actually have a meetup group where we talk about food and how to use it as medicine. We're all eating. We're already spending money on food. Might as well eat food that's going to get you healthier. Because otherwise, you might be eating food that's getting you sicker and making you spend more money on doctors and naturopaths and acupuncturists, right?
Opera, right?
Yeah, that's
Pretty salty.
yeah. The popcorn was a test to see who went for it. Yeah, that was a test. But yeah, ideally we would have like a fruit basket back there or a nice salad bar maybe. But yeah, and that's one of the things that I really like because otherwise health can be very expensive, and I hate when it's more expensive to be healthier than it is to be sick. I think that's ridiculous, but in a lot of cases that is true, at least at first, and so people go down that pathway. But it doesn't have to be the case, especially if you use a therapeutic order. So basically, the end of the story is the treatment must fit the ailment. So if you have a broken bone, I wouldn't tell you, well, just drink more water or eat some garlic. It's not going to do the trick. But if you stub your toe, I'm also not going to think it's a good idea to get surgery. So stubbing your toe is going to be more towards the top. You get more conservative treatments. Whereas you break a bone, you go to the ER. You get that treated as aggressively as needs to be done. Now, unfortunately, because a lot of your conventional doctors are not trained in the conservative approaches, if something isn't bad enough, they don't necessarily know what to do. They may not feel right giving you medication. You get this dull headache. They may not want to put you on meds because it's not bad enough. So it's kind of like, oh, watch and wait. If it gets worse, come in. And that's kind of like saying, well, you see the check engine light come on in your car. Well, if it breaks it down, then go see your mechanic. Why wait that long? And so this is where the spectrum is very important. And you really want to have people at different areas of the spectrum. You want to have that MD who can really help you if things go way south. Not only to help you with the screenings, but also if you have some sort of disease that needs to be monitored, yes, see the MD. But then you'll also probably want to have some sort of holistic professional that can help you with those day-to-day stuff that the MD is going to be way underneath their radar. Right? And that way you can treat things as they come up and they don't get too serious. Or at the very least, you educate, you empower yourself, and you know what to do for yourself. First, I thought you went in there to throw up and eat popcorn.
The pharmaceuticals, it always cracks me up if you listen to the commercials where they're saying, it's starting with, we're going to treat a runny nose, and then its side effects are going to be rectal bleeding, and you're like, whoa, I'll take the runny nose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how did we get here?
I mean, it's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And then you think, well, some people will get on it, and it works for them. Then the side effect might kick in, so they'll do the old, we'll bring in something to take care of that side effect, and then that 10 things are taken every day.
Right.
One fighting the other.
And that's what happens with a lot of people, where it starts with something, and then they need to treat what happened next after it, and then what happened next after it, and if you don't address,
swallow the spider or however that thing went, and then
yeah, and that's where a lot of times it starts with something that could have been addressed early enough with diet and lifestyle, and didn't even have to go down that road. But once you go down that road, especially if the root cause wasn't treated, it's gonna show up somewhere. And so just because you stop the symptom doesn't mean the body's healthy. Sometimes the weakness shows up somewhere else.
I have a horrible story. A friend of mine that I was working with back 15 years ago, his wife was diagnosed with carpal tunnel from working in computers as a graphic estimator.
Mm-hmm.
And she got on some, they told her that she had some sort of nerve degeneration or something, so they got her on some kind of experimental medication, and it started to affect her nervous system.
Mm.
And her whole nervous system went haywire to the point where, like, it became I don't know what the term is,
Mm.
Basically deteriorated her muscle function and her nerves and bones, and in a matter of like 5 to 7 years, she just passed away.
Oh, that's
So she
terrible.
was on treatment, and yeah, literally she had to put work in. She was on cardiac assistance, and I mean, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff, and we
Yeah.
just watched her deteriorate going through this process. But in fact, if I go into pharmaceuticals and surgeries and stuff, and through surgeries and changing medication, probably experimental drugs, et cetera,
Yeah.
really put her rather than treatment naturally
Right.
or approaching it from a different angle.
And for carpal tunnel, which has a lot of conservative treatments that can be utilized, and that's kind of one of my takes is, it's good that we have pharmaceuticals in surgeries because sometimes we really do need them and they are the best option. But with all the potential side effects that come with it, and what I say with people about surgery, once they cut, they can't uncut. They replace a joint, you're not getting your old joint back. And so, if there are things you can try or do that can maybe relieve your symptoms, increase your quality of life without going that route, start there. If you really do need it, okay, because it does work for a lot of people. And these side effects and adverse reactions for most treatments, well, for a lot of treatments now, are very low, but they still happen sometimes. And no matter how many other people it didn't happen to, if it happens to you, that's really the most important thing. And so it's not one of those things where I think, well, they're the devil. But it's more about, well, let's try to avoid those as much as possible because these things do happen, and that's very unfortunate to hear. Okay, assembling a team of professionals. So this will depend on a lot of things. This will depend on your personal health, your personal goals, what you want to get out of a health professional, what's going on with you. And so it really is an individual thing. It also depends on how much, expendable income, expendable time, preferences. There's a lot of things that play a role. But we're going to explore this now. And first, let's assess what your wheel of wellness is. So we did something very similar week 1, and then we did something else week 2. And so this is on the back of that handout. And so grade yourself from 1 to 10 on your own health in each facet. And this could be a good way to decide where to focus your energy first. And some of the solutions are easy. Some of them may require or may be benefited by a professional. So mine, this actually isn't mine, but mine, and so we'll also talk about what did we change. So one of my major focuses while doing this program was the sleep aspect, because for me, I definitely wouldn't have ranked it one of the top factors of my life. That was towards the bottom. And so for me, I would have rated it very low, now quite a bit higher. Anyone notice that throughout this program that some have increased? Tim, shook your
Yeah,
head.
if I would have did this before this program, it would be a lot different than what it is now.
Different,
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty balanced.
yeah. Great,
But,
excellent. Anyone see one that maybe that they're really happy about, or maybe one that they want to put a little more effort in moving forward? So I guess to bring up the sleep thing, let's say my sleep was really low, maybe I do need a sleep professional. Maybe I'm concerned about if I have sleep issues, sleep apnea. Maybe I need a sleep study. So in that case, maybe I do need a professional. Or maybe it's a scheduling thing. Maybe I'm just not getting to bed at a good time and I'm waking up early. So one of those doesn't require a professional at all. Where one of them, maybe I do need a little extra help. So that's where this plays a role. Once you see your values, you have one that's a little low. Well, what is the root cause? Is this something I can control? Is it something I should be controlling? Or should I have another pair of eyes watching after me? Especially if there's a disease process at play, one that can be deadly. Yeah, you probably want a pair of trained eyes to be watching. Okay.
I'll be straight with you. I told you before when I started that exercising and everything, I didn't have time for family and exercise and everything else. And I basically started coming and I set my life start time at 8. I used to be able to come at 6 and 7. Now I got time to exercise in the morning. I don't have to go to bed at 9 o'clock at night, because it's still too early for me because my kids are up and doing homework and they're on their exercise. So just by starting a little bit later in the morning, it gives me a little bit more time to exercise in and then spend that family time that I do still get my sleep.
Yeah,
That pressure. So that works for me.
excellent. The rearranging is so important.
I would prefer to be able to turn earlier, but it just doesn't fit my lifestyle right now.
Yeah, something's got to give eventually. Yeah, but you found time a little bit later in the day before it got too late, but also after you got some really good productive work time, you found some time, where else it was. And that's, yeah, absolutely. It seems like a lot of people, at least at this company, a lot of them have been talking about a little bit earlier sometimes is good for exercise. Not everyone, but some people get in here really early where they exercise earlier than that the day before.
Yeah.
Anything else to share about this? Any surprises? I didn't even think about that element of health. Pretty aware group here, I think. That looks pretty healthy.
Hold over. I forgot I had it. I'll go and remind you.
He's almost always eating chicken and sweet potato, so it's good to see him eat something else.
Well, it's in a Pyrex, so it was homemade, and
Yeah.
that's always a good sign.
Yeah, I usually make oatmeal in the mornings, like, it's only I can eat at pretty much any time of day. I just don't like getting all carbs at once, so I put some walnuts and
Yeah,
always maybe with some protein too.
perfect. Yeah, that's one where sometimes my diabetic patients, if they really like oatmeal, tell them chop up some nuts, throw it in there, maybe a little bit of coconut oil to give you some fats, and then put some cinnamon because the cinnamon will help modulate the blood sugar. But yeah, the nuts, that's the way to go.
And it's super cheap.
Yeah, it really is.
I make it in like 2 minutes too.
It's quick, it's cheap, it's easy, doesn't go bad very readily. Yeah, that's where eating healthy can be cheap if you choose the right avenues.
Yeah.
It can be really expensive if you're eating pomegranates every day and kale salads, but
I put my diet and nutrition pretty high, but I mean, that was like on that other part that we filled out, the money. I was saying that I spend a decent, like, eating healthy, I'd say that my grocery bill is about probably 20%. Just because I'm getting, instead of getting antibiotic injected chicken, I'm trying to get better chicken, and
yeah,
I don't need to get organic sweet potatoes. Yeah, and I mean, like, if you go somewhere like Whole Foods, it's just funny because you pay more money for them to do less to it. It's like crap.
it's weird, yeah.
They're like, this is raw and organic almond. I'm like, you didn't salt it, you didn't bake it, and it's $5 more.
Right.
Why? But
It's a weird world we live in.
it's because
Yeah.
it's the trend right now. Is to eat
Yeah.
healthy. So everything healthy is more expensive. They can put a premium on.
You get a 99-cent Happy Meal
Might
down the
have-
street.
might have to do with it's not mass industrialized produced either.
Yeah.
Right? It's just
Yeah.
pick it out of the system and pluck it out by hand type of thing. Right. It's a bit frustrating, but I mean.
Water's more expensive than soda, even though soda's water plus extra stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. And to be organic, to get that label, it costs money, even though you're doing things that in some cases you're doing less. Yeah, It's a wacky world we live in, and that's one of the, I think, why the health is deteriorating is that there's more, almost incentive to be unhealthy, at least in the short run.
I've actually seen some pretty big changes in the last 5 years or so. with,
Yes.
Like stores starting to put some organic sections in,
Mm-hmm.
Costco's and just starting to carry some better products.
Price
So,
goes down.
They're listening to
Yeah.
people spending their dollars, and that's
Dollar votes go a long
what I
way.
would- Yeah, you vote with your money.
Absolutely.
I think McDonald's and like all those fast food restaurants aren't doing as well as they used to either.
No.
They're not
No.
doing
I'm not saying Chipotle is healthy, but it's healthier.
Yeah.
And they're doing pretty well.
And there's some Chipotle, like I went to a place called Hummus Express, which is not too
Yes.
far from here.
that. Love that place.
Yeah, I just found it recently, and it's like a Chipotle for Mediterranean food,
Yeah.
and it's really good.
I've been there at the pita place.
I'll
Pita
bring
Pit,
It, I'll bring
or-
it to Hummus Express next week. I'm
I've
over
seen,
there.
I've seen a little place named Salad or something like that.
Huh.
It's like a fast food salad place. If you go in and pick up your salad, as you run through your drive-thru,
Yeah.
It's all salad.
That's where things are going. You can personalize it because a lot of people have dietary limitations or sensitivities, but they still want to eat healthy. And so, sometimes if you go to prepackaged stuff, I can't eat any of this stuff. And so you go through and you make your own, and it's cheap for them too. They just have the ingredients, they put it together.
Drive-through salad place that would flop like 5 years ago.
Right, yeah.
Like what? Like what is this?
Yeah, things have changed a lot in the past few years, so that's exciting, and prices are dropping. Okay, so formulating a plan, so this is what we're going to work towards next. What aspects of health do you need the most help? What aspects of health do you need the most help? What professional place can get you this help? Is it a physical therapist? Is it a gym membership? So maybe you're doing the work, but you need to go somewhere, or maybe it is a professional. How do you leverage your strengths to achieve your goals? And so what things are you particularly good at? Maybe you're good at scheduling. Maybe you have a lot of desire right now. Whatever it is, what can you use that you are good at to get your goals achieved? And then what are potential obstacles and how do you traverse them? Always good to see what may happen before it happens, and then that way you can address it. And then lastly, should you choose a health professional, again, it's always good to have at least someone there that you can access. What do you want to look for in them? What's important to you? So is their personality and bedside manner important to you? Or do you not really care? Is it just, as long as they're good, I don't care how much time they spend, how they talk to me, just you gotta be good. But is that important? Personality and bedside manner. Trust and honesty. Actually, there's one thing that we have in our intake. What is one thing that you want out of me as your physician? And no prompting, nothing. 90%, between 80 and 90% of people write honesty. Which maybe they're not getting from their other physicians, I don't know. Maybe that's just what we want out of our health. Just tell me the truth. Now, but is that important to you? Health philosophy. Do you want someone with a particular philosophy with health? Sometimes I've seen that where doctors and patients butt heads because the doctor's thinking one way and the patient's like, no, I don't believe in that. And so you want someone who matches up with your particular philosophy. And if so, what is that? The treatments used, are you looking for a particular modality? I want someone who does adjustments. I want someone who does acupuncture. Or do you just want someone who can deal with you or your condition? I just want someone who knows stuff about pain, about GI. So what are you looking for? Or do you want a specific treatment? Cost of services, how prohibitive is that? And what else do you want to look for in a professional? So these are some questions to think about. That way when, you probably noticed already, but every health professional is different. Every person's different.
This had to be 5 years ago. My wife was having problems with, she would eat, she'd get this pain, and she was trying to figure out what it was, and she was kind of tracking it over time. And of course, the last thing a doctor wants is somebody that walks in there like, I know exactly what's wrong with me kind of thing. But every single thing that was happening was pointing towards her gallbladder.
Mm-hmm.
So she made this appointment with this doctor, and she probably started off on the wrong foot. She wasn't like a jerk about it, but she was like, I really think it's my gallbladder. And the guy was like, oh, hold on there, miss. I'll tell you what's wrong with you. We're going to run these, tell me what's going on. And he's like, I don't think it's your gallbladder at all. We're going to do these $5,000 worth of tests. I'm going to send you to see two of my tennis partners who are also doctors. And holy crap, it's your gallbladder. $10,000 later worth of stuff. Like, we got to get that out. We got to get it out now. And it was like, holy crap,
Yeah.
And that certainly makes you leery about
Yeah.
who you're dealing with.
Absolutely.
And I mean, she went through tests after all this time. If they had just looked at that first, yanked it out for the couple grand, it would have been then, rather than sending us on this goose chase.
Right.
But it just goes to show you, just like auto mechanics, there's some out there that are dead on, and they just want to get your car up and running. And there's the others that are like, they're shysters.
Yeah. There's all different types of people.
Yeah.
And I think even beyond the money, I'm sure she felt like she wasn't listened to and she wasn't
Right.
heard.
Yeah, and then, he didn't even have the least little bit of
Yeah, sorry.
eating crow, and he
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, you were right. This is all better." It was more of a, "We got to get that out now." And, well, talk to my lady up front. We'll see you later. And next time we saw him, she was in recovery. So it was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But him and his buddies made some good money off of it.
Yeah, that was my take when I got my script. And I'm sure getting a kickback or something. You're
Right.
high-fiving each other afterwards. I'm not going down that route.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these things are important. So think about what's important to you in a health professional, because we all have our own kind of prerequisites and requirements and what we want. So even if you don't plan on seeing anyone, write down, we have questions 5 through 6. Just entertain the idea, what qualities do you want in a health professional, which ones are part of your team, and which ones do you want to add to your team, or maybe potentially in the future can see adding to your team. And now using this information, what do you want to do moving forward from here? What's a good goal that's going to help you get to the next step of your health? Now, let's do the next slide, because this may be one of your goals or next action steps. So let's talk about some implementation strategies. Morning and night routines. Bookend your days. Start off good, end it good. That's a really good way. Usually, if it starts healthy, ends healthy, healthy seems to permeate the middle. Accountability buddies. Friend, coworker, physicians, family members, anyone who could keep you accountable. That's what I think a lot of this program helped with that. Coming in each week, talking about your progress, things that maybe didn't go so well, but also the successes and how to move forward. So sometimes that gives you constant reflection, constant accountability, and it helps with progress. Track the journey. Writing down, old school pen and paper, or there are tons of apps coming out now that can help you track your progress. Tracking is a great way to see where you're at, to see where you've been, which can be very motivating, and it can help you see your trend and how you're reaching your goal. Otherwise, if there's no tracking, it can be easy to wonder what's actually happening. Am I getting anything out of this? Reward and celebrate. So if you set a goal, think about how you're going to celebrate that. Because then you're setting a positive, something that you can look forward to when you achieve it and reach it. It's going to be much more motivating to keep going. And then set meaningful goals, something that matters to you, and tap into that. So when you think about a goal, why is this important? If it gets me healthy, what does that mean? We did that the first week. What does health even mean to you, and why is health important? The more important it is, the more compelling it is, the more we're going to have drive to go after it. And so maybe, like for me, my goal is going to be based on morning routine, because I know that's going to help me with all aspects of the rest of my day. And so maybe you pick something like that, or maybe you have another goal in mind. So take a couple minutes now to think of what is a goal or action step that you'd like to take moving forward that gets you further along this process. And it may be a health goal, maybe an action step for what you're going to do next. Anyone want to share their goals moving forward? Action step.
Planting a garden.
Planting a garden. What are you going to put in that garden?
Veggies. Probably going to be squash, zucchini, kale, cauliflower. On that. He's done it.
Very nice.
Yeah, a few other things, just stuff that, it's weird. I think we actually have to like 2 rows.
Yeah.
We would spring into a fall, but
Onions, lettuces, any kind of
anything to inject more natural stuff. A lot of the stuff that Wendy cooks or prepares now, yeah, you could go buy it in the store. Like we were talking, Cameron and I were talking the other day about making our own almond milk. I'm sure it costs more, maybe not, but I'm betting it does. But we know exactly what's in.
Yeah.
Everything.
Right.
So, I want to use that as a way to get myself thinking more towards getting all the processed stuff out of my day.
Great.
And work on the willpower blocking that out here because there's always a junk food going around.
Mm-hmm.
Right. These are cool.
It's good to have one thing that you.
I started doing that bookend. I've been this is like week 2. Where I've been waking up and working out in the morning and working out at night. And it's like the first week was really brutal because by this time I've been pretty tired.
Yeah.
But already I'm starting to feel like it's becoming more of a routine. just give it.
In a good way? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, the bookending the day, it's a great way to just, everything else fills in between it. Have you noticed making better health choices because of it?
Yeah, and I mean, it was like I tried to do the whole gambit where I would, I would go out like once a week with my friends to go out to the bars or whatever, but I also do that. I want to see if I can do it for 21 days, and this past weekend was tough. But, yeah, that, cutting that out, and then also eating healthy, I feel pretty good.
Nice. Excellent.
So I'll follow up with that. So biggest impact I've had was in the want to continue is scheduling the week on Sundays. Actually planning for the week. So we actually make a grocery menu or a dinner menu for the week and make sure that we buy over the weekend to actually sustain it. Because that's also usually where I get my lunches is leftovers from those dinners.
Right.
And if I don't have that, then I end up going across the street, having a big cheeseburger, french fries.
The easiest food is often the most unhealthy.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you're thinking with your stomach and you're hungry and you got to think about what to eat. Hungry choices are poor choices in general.
Leftovers are the best. You get like a little bit extra.
Mm-hmm.
Although my boys get a little bit bigger, so that's getting a little harder.
They see the extra. Excellent. Great. Yeah, the planning goes a long way. And especially when it is so easy to go the other way. If it were just a natural, easy process to be healthy, there's healthy food everywhere, healthy snacks, then maybe we wouldn't have to plan as much. But in America at this time, there's more emphasis on the other way. And so we have to kind of plan and be ready to make healthy choices. So that's great to find that. And then again, are you finding it easier to do as you do it? Or have you not really got to that?
No, it's still a challenge.
Okay, still a challenge
Yeah.
phase?
Yeah, and Deb and I are on the exact same page. She's the same way. We both do much better if we plan over the weekend.
Okay.
But life gets in the way on the weekends, or we let it get in the way. So,
And how long has it been for?
What's that?
How long have you been doing this for?
We actually started a couple weeks before I started this class.
Okay.
But we've had 2 weeks during that period which we didn't plan. This was one of them.
Okay.
We didn't plan for this week, and it's been, we went to McDonald's, we didn't have leftovers for lunches.
Then anything goes, yeah. Yeah, it can take time. I'm sure you'll find some tricks, some certain foods that you really like and that make better leftovers or easier meals. And so there's always going to be some investment, but ideally the investment goes down over time. Excellent. Anything to close us off with, Ted?
I'm doing pretty good, and I kind of ease my way into an exercise routine and a discipline schedule. So I guess my next move is going to be to set some weight loss goals and really start to count calories and track down on calorie reduction. So I can start working on that.
Yeah.
I've learned not to over-expect myself, and my son's been around lately, and he's always wants me to get heavy into the weightlifting, and I said, dude, I says, I can't do it. I says, I know my limits, man, I have to stop, and he's like, come on, dude, you're doing 5 and 6 reps of these. I'm like, I says, I'm good, man, so I'm like, just to the point where like I'm sore the next day, but I'm not in pain. So I keep telling him, so I'm almost over that hump, and the regularity is pretty good for me, so I'm really pleased with that. I just need to set some serious goals and focus on them.
Yeah, and like you said, the exercise is coming more naturally. And I was very happy when you decreased it to 30 minutes.
Me too, because now it's like I'd say 50% of the time I'm doing better.
Right.
So I'm at least achieving the goal and getting closer to the item I want to do.
Yeah.
So,
It's good to give ourselves opportunity to exceed. If we feel like we can never, it's going to be even hard to even just reach, then it just changes the whole mindset. Then we feel bad about it, and then we're upset and failing. If you can exceed and then excel, that just puts a whole different spin on it. And it's there. I mean, for me, do you feel more excitement even thinking about it?
yeah, I'm feeling actually great. I don't know about this lately. I'm on meditation and fighting alcohol. So
Very happy to hear. Good. Well, it's been a great class with all of you. I'll say after for some questions if you have any, but as of now, fantastic program. Thank you so much for attending. I hope the material and the content has been helpful, and I'll be back for the lunch and learn. So any questions you have for me, please bring them. Thank you so much for your attendance and for your participation.
Who